In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. And the two main differences is deductive reasoning builds on broad information, to more specific information, whereas inductive reasoning, we have broad information to more specific information. It's called top-bottom for deductive reasoning and bottom-up for inductive reasoning. And what this means more specifically is we look at the definitions of both deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning works from top down, which means that it's applying guaranteed it's applying guaranteed general rules to reach specific conclusions. Whereas inductive reasoning is the other way around. It works from bottom up, which basically means using specific observations and patterns to build a more broad theory. So let's look at a specific example where inductive reasoning is used. For example, if we consider the natural numbers are pretty much everyday counting numbers that we use. They start off with number 1, they continue to 2, 3, all the way to positive infinity. And the ... is the ellipsis points, which means these numbers go on forever and ever in the positive infinity direction. And when we look at this pattern, the most probable rule is that we add 1 to the previous number, so the next number after 3 would be 4, and then 5, and then 6, etc., etc. If we look at the pattern of numbers 2, 9, 16, 23, and 30, we want to ask ourselves two questions. What is the next number, and what is the pattern? Is it 2 plus 7? Does that give us 9? Okay. Does 9 plus 7 give me 16? Does 16 plus 7 give me 23? 23 plus 7 equals 30. And would the next number be 30 plus 7 will give me 37? That would be probably the most logical answer. It would be 37. And that would be an example of inductive reasoning. We are using observations and patterns to come up with a conclusion. And if we look at this other example, or actually look at this further, 2, 9, 16, 23, and 30 actually represents the dates of Mondays in June if June 1st falls on a Sunday. The next Monday after June 30th will be July 7th. So the continued pattern will be 2, 9, 16, 23, and 30 that was given to us originally. We assumed it was 37, but the number after that would be 7, and then the next Monday after that would be 14, because there are 7 days in a week. 21 would be the following Monday, and then the following week after that would be on the 28th. So what have we learned thus far is that we can never be sure what is true in a specific case will be true in general. Okay, so just because you see the next number based on your observation doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So therefore, technically, inductive reasoning does not guarantee a true result. So we have to kind of keep that in mind at all times when we're using inductive reasoning. Now, deductive reasoning works from top down. Okay, so we're going to break down the two differences between deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning a little more thoroughly, so we can gain a better understanding when we compare the two. So we'll begin with deductive reasoning. It's top down. Okay, so it's certainty driven. So this is really important. If the initial premise is true, then the conclusion must be true. And the common structure is a syllogism, which is a major premises yield to a minor premise to a conclusion. So these two premises will kind of yield a conclusion, And a very easy example to think of this, hopefully this will help you understand this more thoroughly and more simply, is that let's look at an example. All reptiles are cold-blooded. So that would be a major premise, okay? Because we are stating all reptiles are cold-blooded. A minor premise would be a more specific example from that category of reptiles. A snake, for example, is a reptile. So we have two premises. A major premise is that all reptiles are cold-blooded. More specifically, a snake from that group is a reptile. Therefore, we can draw a conclusion that a snake is cold-blooded. Now, inductive reasoning is bottom-up, okay? And it's probability-driven, which means that the conclusions are highly likely, but are not guaranteed. They are subject to new evidence. And the common structure would be observation, okay, and a pattern which yields to a theory. So we have observations, and then we want to see, if there's a pattern, and then based on that pattern, is there a theory that we can come up with, okay, or a conclusion. So an example of this, which is where we have to be really careful for inductive reasoning, is that, let's say we had observation 1, every swan I have ever seen is white. Observation 2, every swan my friends have seen is white. So therefore the conclusion must be that all swans are white. It's highly probable, but it could be proven wrong if there were like a black swan discovered. So that theory holds true unless we observe a different color swan, right? So it's probability driven, but not certain, okay, like deductive reasoning is. Okay, so I hope that you found this video very helpful in distinguishing the difference between inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Thank you for watching.